Okay, I'm sorry. Chapters 21 and 22, I'm going to read together. Just pause when you're finished with 21, and then go to the questions, and then come back for 22. Just play it again, okay? Chapters 21 of Sign of the Beaver. Then one morning, a teen returned. Matt had been waiting, watching the forest trail impatiently, unwilling to go far from the cabin lest he miss the boys coming. But when finally he saw a teen approaching, his heart sank. A teen was not alone. His grandfather stalked by his side. Matt sensed this meant trouble. Perhaps Sackness had come to reproach him. He would surely know that the two boys had been neglecting those lessons. Dreading to face the old man, Matt walked out to meet him, courteously giving the greeting he learned. Sackness returned his greeting with dignity. He did not smile. His solemn face made Matt's heart sink still lower. Then, startled, Matt turned toward the teen. He did not dare to ask a question, but he saw at once that there was no need to ask. No doubt about it, a teen had found his Manitou. He had changed. He stood straighter and taller. He looked older, and Matt suddenly realized why. The black hair, which had always hung straight down almost to his shoulders, was shaved away. His scalp, like his grandfather's, was bare, except for a single patch running down back from his forehead and braided into a top knot fastened with red string. Like the fresh bear grease that glistened on his skin, pride glistened all over him. Moreover, he carried a gleaming new rifle. "You've got a gun," Matt cried, politeness forgotten. "My grandfather traded many beaver skin," a teen answered. Though he had in these last days become a man, he had not learned altogether to hide his feelings. He did not say more. He waited now for his grandfather to speak. The old man's face was grave, but he did not ask about lessons. "Time of sun gets shorter," he said, "like footsteps of bird, soon ice on water." "I know it's October," Matt said, "maybe November." He had not wanted to count his sticks these last weeks. "Indian go north now," Sackness continued. "Hunt moose. All Indians go. A teen not come more to learn white man signs." Matt could not answer. "White father not come," Sackness went on. Matt spoke quickly. "He ought to be here any day now." Sackness looked at him soberly. "Maybe him not come," he said quietly. Anger flared up in Matt. He could not allow this man to speak the fear he had never dared to admit to himself. "Of course he'll come," he said too loudly. "He might even come today." "Snow comes soon," Sackness persisted. "Not good white boy stay here alone. White boy come with Indians." Matt stared at him. Did he mean go on the hunt with them? The most important hunt of the year? Sackness smiled for the first time. Sackness teach white boy hunt moose like a teen. White boy and a teen be like brother. A sudden joyful hope sprang into Matt's mind. He realized at this moment just how anxious he had been. This was a way out. He did not have to stay here alone through the long winter. Then, as swiftly as it had come, this new hope died away. In spite of his longing, in spite of being afraid, he knew what he had to answer. "Thank you," he said. "I'd like to go on the hunt, but I can't do that. When my father comes, he wouldn't know where I was or I'd gone." "Leave white man's writing." Matt swallowed hard. "Something might happen to the cabin. He's trusting me to take care of it." "Maybe him not come," Sackness said again, not smiling now. "He'll be here soon," Matt insisted. He was ashamed that his voice broke in the middle of the word. "If he couldn't come, he'd send someone to tell me. He'd find some way. No matter what happened, you don't know my pa." Sackness was silent for some time. White boy good son," he said at last. "But better you come." Sackness glad for white boy for white boy being Nequinus. Matt could only keep shaking his head. The man's words had brought a great lump in his throat. "Thank you," he managed. "You've been very good to me, but I have to stay here." Without another word, Sackness held out his hand. Matt put his own hand into that bony grasp. Then the two Indians turned and went away. A teen had not even said goodbye. There would be no lesson that morning, no story, no tramping in the forest or fishing, not this morning or any other morning. Close to panic, Matt wanted to run after them. He wanted to tell them that he had changed his mind, that he would go with them anywhere rather than stay here alone with winter coming on. But he set his jaw tight and stood where he was. After a few minutes, he reached for his axe and fell to splitting logs with a fury. He couldn't keep from thinking, however, was he just being foolish and stubborn? Wasn't going with them the wisest thing he could have done? Wouldn't his father have understood? He remembered hearing that many white men and white women, too, who had been captured by the Indians and lived many years in the wilderness, did not want to return in the white man world when they had a chance, but they had chosen instead to live with the Indians. He had never understood that, but now he could see very well how it might happen. He no longer distrusted them. He knew that Ateen and his grandfather would be kind, that even his grandmother would make him welcome, and that they would share with him whatever they had, no matter how little. He had found friendship and goodwill in their cabin. He had envied Ateen his free, unhampered life in the forest, and the boisterous comradeship in the village. He had been taken captive as a child and raised as an Indian boy. How would he himself have chosen? It wouldn't be the same to make that choice deliberately. He was proud that he had wanted them to live with him, but he knew that he could never be really proud, as Ateen was proud of being a hunter. He belonged to his own people. He was bound to his own family. As Ateen was proud of being a hunter, he was bound to his own family, as Ateen was bound to his grandfather. The thought that he might never see his mother again was sharper than hunger or loneliness. This was the land his father had cleared to make a home for them all. It was his own land, too. He could not run away. He was troubled that Ateen had walked away without a word of farewell. Had he been offended? Had he really wanted Matt to go with him, to be a brother? Or was he only obeying his grandfather as he had to do about the lessons? It was so hard to tell what Ateen was thinking. Ateen had become a hunter. He had a gun. He would not have time now to wander through the forest or to listen to stories. He would not have to bother any longer with a white boy who would never really be a mighty hunter. But surely Ateen could have held out his hand as his grandfather had done. You can pause the video and then work on the questions and then unpause it, and I'm going to read chapter 22. Chapter 22. Every morning, in spite of himself, Matt kept an eye out for Ateen. When 4 days had gone by, he decided there was little chance that he could see his friend again. Doubtless the Indians had already left the village and were on their way north, so when he saw Ateen come through the woods with his dog at the heels, he ran across the clearing to meet him, not bothering to hide his relief and pleasure. "You think different," Ateen said quickly. "You go with us?" Matt's eagerness died away. "No," he said unhappily. "Please try to understand, Ateen. I must wait for my father." Ateen nodded. "I understand," he said. "My grandfather understand too. I do same for my father if he's still alive." The two boys stood looking at each other. There was no amusement and no scorn in Ateen's eyes. How very strange, Matt thought. After all the brave deeds he had dreamed of to win this boy's respect, he had gained it at last just by doing nothing, just by staying here and refusing to leave. "My grandfather sends you gift," Ateen said now. He unstrapped from his back a pair of snowshoes. They were new, the wood smooth and polished, the netting of deer hide woven in a neat design. Before Matt could find words, Ateen went on. "My grandmother sent gift," he said. He took from his pouch a small birch basket of maple sugar. Late in the season like this, Matt knew sugar was scarce and dear to the Indians. "Thank you," he said. "Tell your grandmother that when you come back, I'll help gather more sap for her." Ateen was silent. "Not come back," he said then. "In the spring, I mean, when the hunt is over." "Not come back," Ateen repeated. "Not live in a village again. Our people find new hunting ground." "But this is your home." "My people hunters. My grandfather say many white men come soon, cut down trees, make house, plant corn. Where my people hunt?" What could Matt answer to this? He had only one argument to offer. "Your grandfather wants you to learn to read," he reminded Ateen. "I haven't been much of a teacher, but when my family comes, it'll be different. My mother will teach you to read and to write too." "What for I read? My grandfather mighty hunter, my father mighty hunter. They not read." "Your grandfather wants you to be able to understand treaties," Matt insisted. "We go far away. No more white man. No need to sign paper." An uncomfortable doubt had long been troubling Matt. Now, before Ateen went away, he had to know. "This land," he said slowly, "this land where my father built his cabin, did it belong to your grandfather? Did he own it once?" "How one man own ground?" Ateen questioned. "Well, my father owns it now. He bought it." "I not understand," Ateen scowled. "How can man own land? Land same as air. Land for all people to live on, for beaver and deer. Does deer own land?" How could you explain, Matt wondered, to someone who did not want to understand? Somewhere in the back of his mind there was a sudden suspicion that Ateen was making sense and he was not. It was better not to talk about it. Instead, he asked, "Where will you go?" "My grandfather say much forest where sun go down. White man not come so far." "To the west." Matt had heard his father talk about the west. There were good land there for the taking. Some of their neighbors in Quincy had chosen to go west instead of buying land in Maine. How could he tell a teen that there would be white men there too? Still, they said there was no end of land in the west. He reckoned there must be enough for both white men and Indians. Before he could think what to say, a teen spoke again. "I give you a gift," he said. "Dog like you. I tell him stay with you." "You mean you're not taking him with you?" "No good for hunt," a teen said. "Walk slow now. Good for stay here with Metabai, with white brother." A teen's careless words did not deceive Matt. He knew very well how a teen felt about that no-good dog that followed him everywhere he went. And a teen had said, "white brother." Matt could not find the words he needed, but he knew there was something he must do. He had to have a gift for a teen, and he had nothing to give, nothing at all that belonged to him. Robinson Crusoe? What could that mean to a boy who would never know how to read it? He did have one thing. At the thought of it, something twisted tight in his stomach, but it was the only thing he had that could possibly match the gifts a teen had given him. "Wait here," he told a teen. He went into the cabin and took down the tin box. The watch was ticking away inside it. He had never forgotten to wind it, even when he was too tired to notch a stick. Now he lifted it out and held it on his hand. The way he had held it with his father had given it to him, as though it were a fragile bird's egg. His father would never understand. Before he could think about it another minute, Matt hurried back to where a teen stood waiting. "I have a gift for you," he said. "It tells the time of the day. I'll show you how to wind it up." A teen held the watch even more carefully. There was no mistaking that he was pleased and impressed. Probably, Matt thought, a teen would never learn to use it. The sun and the shadows of the trees told him all he needed to know about the time of day. But a teen knew that Matt's gift was important. "Fine art," he said. "Fine gift," he said. He put the watch very gently into his pouch. Then he held out his hand awkwardly. The two boys shook hands. "Your father comes soon," a teen said. "I hope you get the biggest moose in Maine," Matt answered. A teen turned and walked into the woods. The dog sprang up to follow him. A teen motioned him back and uttered one stern order. Puzzled, the dog sank down and put his chin between his paws. As a teen walked away, he whined softly, but he obeyed. Matt knelt down and put his hand on the dog's head. It's the end of chapter 22. And what I would want you to do is work on the questions, turn them into the bin when you're done, and then work on your independent work that's up on the board. I hope you enjoyed the last 3 chapters. We have a couple more left.